everyone. Welcome to my Personal Finances PodCat, episode 42. Today we're going to talk about investing in art with Lee Khai, who is the chairman of Penang State Art Gallery, together with Steve. Let's welcome Lee Khai.
Welcome, Lee Khai. Good to have you on our show.
Thanks for
Good to
having
have
me.
you. Welcome to the show. So, for the benefit, although I've done a long introduction for yourself, perhaps you can, for the benefit of our audience, just briefly introduce yourself.
Hi, Steve. Hi, Ken. Thanks for having me. Now, 10th of October 2020. Today is a special day. 10/10/2020. Art lovers would see a beautiful pattern here. I'm the Vice President for the Home Mental Health Association. And today, 10th of October, is the World Mental Health Day. Right? And WHO says that there is no health without mental health. I'm also the chairman of Caris Hospice. 10th of October is also the World Hospice and Palliative Care Day. So this is indeed a special day, and this is the day where, as an art lover, I can talk to you about art. So 10th October 2020 is indeed a very special day.
Definitely a very special day indeed, and yes, there's so much need, for creating awareness on so many levels as well. Mental health is just so important for everyone, and as we look at investing in art, hopefully we can also enjoy art as well, which also from a view of finances and de-stressing as well. That's also related to our topic for today on investing in art as well.
So, perhaps you can start with, how would you describe investing in art to someone totally new?
All right, I've prepared some slides. Now, next slide, the first slide. This is a chart from May and Moses indices. May and Moses is a art index. Now they are owned by Sotheby's, the famous auction house. What these two art professors did, May and Moses, was that they tracked art auction results of similar or same piece of artwork. So if an artwork is sold twice in a period over a period of time, then they track the change and the increase in the value of that piece of art. And I think they've done over more than 80,000 pairs in history. And they come up with this chart which shows that art has indeed been increasing in value. From this chart, we are looking at 1970 to 2018, and art has consistently been increasing in value. We go to the next slide. This slide shows, again from May and Moses research, shows that the overall art market, at least based on the auction result, the value would have gone up 11.2% from 2016 to 2018. Sotheby's and Christie's and the auction houses generally divide art into various sections. So for the post-war and contemporary art, it has gone up 12.8%. For the impressionist and modern art, it's gone up 10.8%.
Sure. And just two super quick questions over here. The gains that we're seeing, 11.2%, is it over this 3-year period, or is it on an annual basis? Every year is increasing by 11%?
Over this period.
Over this period. And another quick question. Assume that I'm a total beginner in investing in art. How would you compare? What's the difference between post-war and contemporary versus impressionist and modern art?
The word contemporary describes what we are at now. Contemporary. We are at a contemporary period. A lot of people think that modern means something new. Actually, modern in fine art terms is already dated. The modern era is actually over. After the modern era would be over, some would say in the 70s or the early 80s. Then we had a postmodern era. Some would even argue that postmodern era is also over. So when we talk about contemporary art. So impressionist, of course, we refer to the 19th century impressionist painters like Monet.
All right, and it's really good to see, wow, USD 4 trillion in global collectible investment in art. That's really immense.
All right, that 4.3 trillion, this is generally for all collectible investment in collectible. So it need not be just fine art. It includes antique and stuff. But the blue one says that the global art market value in 2018 is estimated to be 67 billion. This, I would say, may be conservative. And the top global art auction houses combined sold 12 billion worth of art in 2018. So figures are huge if you talk about investment.
Really huge, yeah.
All right, this one, just to give you a comparison as to where we are in the world. The artwork on the left is an artwork by Latif Muhyiddin, who has now the fame of having the most expensive artworks at auction. So this auction was actually done in London by Leon and Turnbull in 2019, last year. And the work was sold for 275,000 USD, which is equivalent to about 1.15 million ringgit. So that's the painting. The one on the right, even those who don't know art or don't seldom get interested in art probably have seen this piece of work. This is the Salvator Mundi, the work by Leonardo da Vinci. And it was sold in 2017 at Christie's for a staggering 450 million USD. So the most expensive Malaysian piece of art compared with the world's most expensive piece of art, the difference is 1,637 times.
Wow, yeah, that's really immense. Da Vinci is one of my favorite artists as well.
Even last year, I think, when the Italian government brought the Leonardo da Vinci's show to our National Art Gallery, although they were just reproduction, result was very good. People thronged to the National Art Gallery. Next, please. Henry Butcher Art Auction is one of the few art auction houses we have in Malaysia. Currently, we probably have 3 or 4 active ones. And Henry Butcher was one of the first who started in Malaysia about 10 years ago in 2010. Big boys like Sotheby's and Christie's were in Singapore. I think they have also retreated to Hong Kong. All right. So in our region currently, we have these homegrown secondary market art auction houses. And this is actually very important when we talk about art investment. This part of the ecosystem is really important because this is where the value of art, so-called fair market value of art, can be arrived at, achieved, and shown. So what I've done is that I've looked through their past auction records in the past 10 years, giving us a total of 21 auctions, 2,798 pieces at 62 million, averaging the numbers, the piece of art is at 22,000. So that is the Malaysian situation.
Is that a good place that we are at with these numbers for Malaysia?
That is encouraging. What's encouraging is that even in their recent auction, the latest was 23rd of August 2020, they still managed to sell about 2.8 million worth of artwork, of 150 over pieces. The next one coming up is 1st of November. So our audience will want to look out for that. If you've never attended an art auction, go see.
Sure. You can send us the more details as well. And yeah, we'll put it in the notes and the comments. So yeah, people can watch out for that as well after
I'll
the
do
show.
that. Yeah, you can just search Henry Butcher Art Auction and you can get there on the internet as well. Yeah.
All right, awesome.
All right, so MyPF, of course, is a financing platform. So we are talking about art as an investment. Later, I'll talk more about art as collecting art. Right? So, but when it comes to art investment, fine art has always been seen as something, the market is seen as something very opaque, very volatile, very unreliable, not transparent, But there are signs that art investment are opening up to the general public, especially when banks are getting more interested in that. I've listed banks, yes. There'll be some slides later that I'll share on that. First, some benefits of art investment as compared with the other types of asset class, for example, shares, property, real property. One, art provides a hedge against inflation and currency devaluation. Two, there's a little risk of losing a principal if you purchase wisely, but that is a wisely carries a lot of meaning.
There. Okay.
If you see art as an investment, you really need to buy something that you like, right? Even if the value goes down, you have something that you like on your wall. Three, there's no minimum investment. Artwork, original artwork, right? I'm talking about original artwork. It can be as reasonably valued as, 300-500 ringgit.
So that definitely does sound very reasonable, actually. Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, anyone can start with art collection or art investment. It also enjoys favorable tax treatment in a sense. When you sell your art, it's actually a capital gain, and a capital gain which is not taxed. So that's where you have good tax treatment. Also, because art have a very low correlation with other assets like shares and real property, makes art the hedging tool. The risk is reduced. In fact, a few years back, when many companies was folding or having crisis, the art market was doing exceptionally well.
That's so true, actually. I'm a strong advocate for asset allocation when it comes to investing. How proper asset allocation, it reduces volatility by about 90%, actually. And you mentioned some of the common asset classes, equities or shares, bonds, property, cash. And there's definitely room for alternate asset allocations, such as art. That's why we're here today. But really so keen to hear you share more about the various benefits and how we get started as we head along as well.
Number 6, there's a possibility of earning some revenue by lending out artwork. This is more popular maybe in China, in the West, not so much in Malaysia. Lots of my friends who say, hey, I got walls, you can hang my artwork there. Of course, they're not offering to pay me anything to do that. 7, no geographical risk. Artwork can be moved easily. Yeah, artwork can be moved easily. But, of course, some countries will have control, border controls over what sort of art can leave their country. Art also can be insured. And this is one new specialized area in Malaysia. Because art insurance is something quite unique, just like insurance for antique. You can't just insure the content of my house at the value. For art valuation insurance to work, you actually need to negotiate on the value of the art that you want to insure. Basically, the insurers would need to know what art you have, what value are they, before you can really meaningfully insure them. So these are some of the benefits.
A couple of quick questions as well. So on the insurance side for the art, is it typically looked at? We're looking at every single artwork, or is it usually viewed as a whole that the rough estimate of your total value of your art investment or collection is X amount?
Every single artwork. And when you do that, when you have a negotiated value for each piece, then when anything happens to that piece of artwork, there will be no argument over it.
Okay. One final question from me over here would be, so you mentioned about hedging against inflation and currency devaluation. Are you saying that there's no forex risks involved as well with investing in art?
It depends. There may well be if you are buying overseas. Generally, because the art market is so big, generally people will invest in art in their own local market, right? So basically, you would buy things from locally, then maybe nationally, maybe regionally, then maybe internationally. Unless you have super deep pockets, you wouldn't start internationally.
All right, that's a good point there. Okay.
These are some of the drawbacks. Art is heterogeneous. So each piece of artwork is different, even from the same artist, right? From different period, even from the same series, they are still different, unique pieces of work. Even more so than, let's say, antiques. Because each artwork is unique, then it makes it difficult for you to, for example, evaluate. There's no standardized art valuation method. Later, I'll share more about how you appraise and value art. It is more of an art than a science. Unlike, let's say, your share portfolio.
No fundamental or technical analysis on art then.
Exactly. If you look at the canvas is probably worth a fraction of the value of the artwork that is asked for. You cannot have quick profits in art investment. It has to be a medium, long-term investment. Most of the time, long-term, very long-term. Art markets are notoriously unregulated. Maybe most government thinks that first, it's very difficult to regulate. Two, it is this people with extra money, is not the poor that are investing in art, so let them be. So art is generally not regulated.
Is there a need for it to be regulated?
It is very, very difficult to regulate. Many jurisdictions have actually looked at it and actually given up to regulate it. So there are various attempts, but none has been successful, none has been welcome. So as it stands, it's still pretty much unregulated, and I don't foresee it to be regulated anytime soon anywhere in the world. Number 5, there's actually no dividend political oil. The dividend perhaps is a different, is in the aesthetic value. The dividend is you can enjoy your art on the wall. Unlike your share portfolio, right? You cannot hang your shares portfolio on the wall. Nowadays, without scriptless, you can't even print out a certificate and hang it up on the wall anymore.
Totally, or rather, be staring at artwork than staring at my stocks.
That's why you need to diversify your investment. Art is not highly liquid, similar to private equity, but I'm glad that Malaysia now have a secondary market, homegrown secondary market for artwork. For example, just now we saw a Henry Butcher art auction. Secondary market is where collectors, investors can sell their art. So there is an avenue for you to sell your art. 7, you need to do your homework. I guess with any type of serious investment, but even more so for art because of the specialized knowledge that you need to have a successful investment, a successful collection. There's a high transaction cost. Auction houses typically charge anywhere from 10 to 20% commission, right, in selling of art. And of course, artwork provenance, right? Provenance is very important. Whether it is the authentic piece of art, in the art world, there are also a lot of forgeries, right? So, some would say that quite a high percentage of artwork sold on the auction market are actually fakes. In Malaysia, we are not, I wouldn't say that we are plagued with that problem. So these are the drawbacks. Steve, can you show the next slide? This is the part that I was talking about, where banks and financial institutions and the boutique finance houses are getting more interested in art as an asset class, as an investment. You would see, not necessarily in Malaysia, but globally, you see this type of art-related services being offered. Right? One is the art advisory services, 2 art lending services, free art investment services. If you can go to the next slide. For art advisory services, a lot of banks, especially in private banking, start talking about non-financial lifestyle services that they offer to their high net worth customers. Wanting to have a holistic approach to wealth management. So over there, the services that they provide will be on art research, even the art transaction financing, art management from valuation to storage. You can also have structured solutions in terms of trusts and foundations, and even if they want to do philanthropy. These are the services that banks are starting to be interested in offering. Let's go to the next one. This is the art lending services for private or corporate collection. Really seeing art as a working asset. So there will be loan acquisition, offering revolving lines of credit, not in Malaysia yet, inventory financing for dealers who deal with art. I don't know if Malaysian dealers or galleries are doing that, not that I've heard of. Okay, next one. Art investment services. Again, when banks and financial institutions start to see art as an asset class, looking into offering art investment, research services, portfolio management, art funds. There are various art funds in the world, but not all of them are very successful. Art fund is just like a unit shares, where people put their money together. The fund manager would buy the art, sell the art, and basically give you the profit. And art securitization, where art is used as a security to lending or borrowing. All right, so these are the investment aspect of art that I can think of to share with you.
That's a very great sharing of about investing in art. I felt like I was sitting in a comprehensive art introductory course. Suddenly I feel like I know a lot more about art industry in Malaysia. Yep.
And what I hope to do is that, although we went through the slides quite fast, but I'm sure when you broadcast this as a record, your audience can always pause and look at and or even copy out the what is on the slides.
Yep. That's very thoughtful of you. Right. Perhaps now could you share your own personal experience in investing in art?
All right. I was telling you right before the program started, I say Steve didn't do his research well, inviting me to talk about art investment. I would say this is my first time really talking about art as an investment. In fact, on other occasions when I'm asked about art as an investment, I always tell them that you cannot start art collecting and see it as investment, as a monetary investment. Art should first be seen as a lifestyle investment. I'm a hoarder. I purchased art for the past 20 over years, and
I've been to Kai's house and office before, and I can attest to that. Yeah, there's artwork lying everywhere, hanging, and until it runs out of space, and it's actually sitting on the floor even. So definitely,
it is said that you are only a collector and you don't care if you have space to hang up the painting. And back to the point, I'm a hoarder. In my 20 over years of buying art, I've not sold a single piece, or perhaps except one. That one piece that I sort of sold was because when I bought the painting from the art gallery, the painting was still on the wall in the exhibition, and an institution came and they were interested in that same piece that I bought. And the gallery approached me to say, and then I said, it's good for the artist to be collected by an institution. So over there, I've agreed to let them have it.
Sure, we'll just mark it down as your multi-generational art collector and investor then.
Yeah, it's I was saying like it's still one of the type of investment. It's just that it's a very very long term investment.
Yeah, I actually liked a little bit of what you shared earlier, Khai, about also putting it as part of a trust as well, also from the philanthropic aspects as well. I think that's really very relevant and increasingly so today as well.
I encourage art patrons, art collectors, anyone to donate to your local art institution. I'm chairman of the Penang State Art Gallery, and we welcome donation, and we are always looking out for that.
Do you remember your very first piece that you bought, or is there a most memorable piece in your mind?
The first piece, of course, was memorable. It was 25 years ago. I just came out as a lawyer. I spent 2 months' salary to buy that piece of art. So yeah, that was 25 years ago.
I know it's more than 2 decades ago, but what was your mindset at that period of time? You already loved that, and you knew that it's something that you were gonna get, or what was going through your mind at that point of time?
I've been exposed to art since young, especially from my father, who is a very visionary educator. He was the headmaster. He has always been encouraging art education. So since young, I've been exposed to art, and my father has many artist friends. So I see a lot of art from young. And my first piece of art that I bought was also because I had a artist friend who was encouraging me. He basically told me that, hey, you like this piece of work of art, buy it. If you regret after you bought it, I will take it off you at the same time. So that gave me the confidence in spending my 2 months salary to get that first piece of art. So I still have that piece of art with me 25 years later.
Wow, thanks for sharing that experience. And I guess it is the first step. It has been on my mind as well. So I was recently at Suma Orientalis in PJ, where the artwork of artist friend as well, Louis Low, was being exhibited. And the question on my mind has been, when am I going to start, collecting my very first piece of art as well? So, hopefully from today's session that will actually move both myself and all the other audience watching in as well a step closer to that as well.
Yeah, Steve, I hope that tomorrow you buy your first piece of art. And later I do have some slides that I can share with you on art collecting.
All right,
Sure.
awesome.
You were just sharing your years of experience in like collecting arts. Maybe you can share with us also on some tips on collecting art.
Yes, I do have 10 tips to share. Like I say, I don't suggest anyone buying art for a pure monetary investment. It is a lifestyle investment. It is a lifestyle choice. What art to buy? You really need to develop a personal taste. Right? You do not want to be dictated by market. Right? Such thing does happen, not in Malaysia, in some other country, even in our neighboring country, things like that happen. People actually speculate in certain artists' work. Very often, the end would be quite terrible. Speculation, same the artwork from the artist would be sold many times over. The price will shoot up very high, but overnight it will just drop and collapse. So buy art because you like it. Buy art because it moves you. Buy art because it will enhance your life. Right? And like what I've shared just now, unless you have super deep pocket, the natural progression for you to like art would be local, then national, then regional, then international. Yes, so this is the first tip. It is a lifestyle choice. The second one, go visit art galleries. Steve told us that they just visited Suma Orientalis, one of the gallery that I go to. in KL. There are quite a number of galleries all over Malaysia, and there are lots of galleries online. In fact, people call Instagram the world's largest art gallery. Visit art galleries. When you talk to the gallery owner, to the gallery staff, you can get helpful guides in your art education. Get onto their mailing list so that you can invite it to their events. All right? They may sometimes even have talks from artists or people like me. Talk to artists. That's when you learn about them. One of the fun thing about art collecting is that I get to know the artists, know what inspired them, know where they are. And all this enhance the art that I find from them.
I think that's so true as well. The people behind art and galleries. I still recall visiting the Met in the States, and just being blown away by the art there, and a lot of it is available online. I didn't realize that until recent years as well.
So there's a comment from Susan Sim saying that she totally agree with buying art because it moves you.
Good. That is true.
And also another one from Han, which is well researched and presented. Yeah, which I totally agree as well. There's a very, very detailed presentation slides prepared by Khai.
That's a very early verdict. All right, so tip number 3 is go visit your local art institution, art museum. We have our National Art Gallery. We have the Penang State Art Gallery in Penang. Come and see our Penang State Art Gallery. Currently, we have our permanent collection show entitled Penang Art, Then, Now, and Beyond, showing about 200 over years of collection of Penang art. So you want to go, when you go overseas, very often the thing that you do, you go to any great city, is to see their museums and their art galleries or their art museum. That's why I'm investing my time in coming up with a new Penang State Art Gallery. Hopefully, within 5 years, we can have a better space to showcase more local art. So go visit your local museum. Unfortunately, the National Art Gallery is currently closed for a year for some refurbishment and repairs. But there are also a lot of art museums online. Over here, you see I put up Google Arts and Culture. Go to their website. Many world-class art museums have their artwork there. It is fun looking at them, and many of them are very interactive. So do that.
Definitely excited about seeing the new changes over the next 5 years with the gallery.
Yes, let's look forward to that. Tip number 4 is attend art auction. Now in Malaysia, we have a homegrown secondary market art auction, and Malaysia is having their next auction up, I think 1st of November. So you can actually go and observe. You can also register and take a paddle and participate. And that's going to be in KL. I think it's going to be in Gallery Prima. So attend art auction, because when you attend art auction, you can also get the catalog. And the catalog typically would have all the artworks on offering. And it will also have information on the artwork and the artist. So, and you want to study the auction results. That's when, if you're really interested in investing in art, buy art which are already on the auction market, because it is tried and tested. It's already been sold on the secondary market.
Sorry, Kai, to stop you here. We have a question here from Susan Sim. So, do you have any thoughts about how you think the online art trading world will look like in the future? And do you think the online art gallery will eventually take over physical art galleries in sales, looking at the situation now?
That's an interesting question. I guess we are from the old school, right? I was born in the 60s, right? Different from the millennials. Maybe the millennials would be very, very comfortable with the internet, right? But art, in a sense, very often you still want to see the real thing itself. I do buy a fair bit of art just from WhatsApp images.
Wow.
But I do that because I know the artist. All right, these are usually sent from galleries. All right, these are artists that I've already collected. Artists I'm familiar with, so I know the quality. So when I know the quality and I know what they offer, so even when I see it on my computer screen or in my mobile smartphone screen, I'm comfortable enough to actually say yes, I would buy it. All right. So I think it's still challenging to buy art from a gallery or from an art or an artist's work that I'm not familiar with. You really want to see the real thing itself, right? Unless, in my case where I'm already familiar, then I'm willing to buy off on. Yes, attend national and international art fairs and art expos. We have a homegrown Malaysian art expo. Again, unfortunately, because of the pandemic, this year's expo has been cancelled. So they have put the date for the next one in October next year, 8 to 10 October. They usually have it in Madrid. There are also regional international art fairs and art expos. The nearest we can go is in our neighboring country, Singapore, Indonesia, Philippines, Hong Kong is big on that. Yeah, Taipei, Taiwan has a very active art fairs circuit. Yeah.
So, Catherine, will you be, Catherine travels a lot, so will you be adding, visiting art galleries as part of your, travel agenda as well?
Yeah. I do, like when I visit to countries but only of the very, very known ones. I do add them in my itinerary.
Tip number 6: talk to art collectors. Go visit, go see their art collection. It's usually very fun when you see other people's collection, because it's not only about the individual artwork. You can actually see that the personality of the collectors. So if you come and see my collection, it is totally eclectic, because that's what I am. I'm very
I'm laughing out loud because when you were saying that, the first word that popped up to mind was eclectic actually, and there you were saying that.
or the Malaysian word for it is rojak. Rojak is a good. I love rojak, and I love variety. Even in my legal practice, I do very wide range of art of legal work. So just like my art collection is very wide in terms of genre and type of art I collect. Tip number 7. Right, we done about. It's not difficult homework. It's fun. Right? You know, about art history. Penang State Art Gallery got a good set of publication. In the past 10 over years, we have honored 10 over local artists for with a retrospective exhibition. And with each retrospective exhibition, we have a publication. Like on the screen, you see the one by James Sam. This is our Penang State Art Gallery publication. 300 over pages, a very good collection of the featured artists' work, and it's a good record. It's good read on local art. But don't confine yourself to local art. Read world art history. Go YouTube. You can get all sorts of program on art. Right? You can probably type in art collecting. You can type in art documentaries. BBC does have a good range of art programs, and you learn a lot of general knowledge and fun facts about our work. Right? So do that.
Sounds good. Yeah, I'll be definitely expanding my YouTube watching after this.
Yeah. Tip number 8: subscribe to Art Magazine. Unfortunately, we currently don't have any Malaysian magazine which are fully dedicated to fine art. We had. It's not an easy thing to sustain. Right? So I hope there will be more. But Penang Art District, if you go to the Penang Art District website, you'll see articles as well. We start doing that, getting local writers to write about local art, and they are posted for free on our website, the Penang Art District website. So subscribe to Art Magazine. Again, you get a lot of useful information. Read again is about reading. Read art news, attend lectures on art, attend art courses. There are a lot of online art courses as well. Some free, some you have to pay for them. On each of my slides, you will see there will be some, I won't call it product placement. These are names.
Your own curated list, is it?
My own curated list. So you can look at all those names that I put up. You can actually go search them on the internet. Many of them, like for example, Artsy or Unnet News or Freeze, you can actually get a free mailing list. So I get them daily on my email. So you can actually read up interesting and up-to-date information, news on the contemporary artwork. When you want to start a collection, it's good for you to have a proper record database of your art collection. Right? Start from day one when you start buying. You can do it on the spreadsheet. I have a lot of fun coming up with my own private website, Wix, right, where I can showcase my record my art collection. Wix is quite easy to use. Squarespace is also quite easy to use. Or you can even just post them on Instagram as a record. But you want also the other records, right? Where you buy them, how much you paid for it, and whatnot. These are called provenance. Right? Provenance is very important in art investment. Right? You know that you bought from the artist or from the gallery. You know that's the original work. But when you want to resell it, how do you tell or convince the buyer that it is indeed an original work? So provenance is very important. Okay, so these are my 10 tips for art collecting.
Yep, I think those are really good tips for someone who already like art but still contemplating whether to bet, like how to get started. I think you gave a full range of starter kit, like the best starter kit that we can find. We also have other questions. So from XJ Teo. So or you can actually check this out, www.theartworkarchive.com.
That gets Kai's nod of approval. Okay, so that's good to know.
Approval checked.
Good.
Our top question, I might have covered this a little bit already, but it would be good maybe to hear a recap or a bit more on how is artwork valued.
Like I mentioned just now, it's not a science, it is an art. Art appraisal is actually a career. Not so much in Malaysia. I only know of one guy. He's actually a mainland Chinese based in Singapore, but very familiar with Southeast Asian art, including Malaysian art, where this is my go-to person if I need art valued. Of course, the National Art Gallery also does some art appraisal, but mainly for institutions. I don't think they've expanded it for private collectors or private buyers. So art appraisal is a career which is established in the West. Hopefully one day we are able in our local market to support such a profession. So back to the question as to how artwork is valued, you need to know who the artist is. Just now I mentioned about provenance, meaning the record from the artist, how it was collected. Very often when it's collected by certain people, it becomes more valuable. Actually, there's that element in it. Size, technique, condition are all part of how you value art. I mentioned just now, look at the auction market result for that particular artist. In fact, if you pay for it, you can subscribe to various art websites on the internet which records auction results. Right? Usually you can go there and browse for free, except that the most important information on the actual value itself you have to subscribe. But if you go to Henry Butcher's art auctions website, they have a record of all their past auctions for free. You can actually look at the past auction results and look at each artist's work sold and the value. So that is again a good gauge for our local value.
Good tips indeed, definitely. Yeah.
Okay, so another question will be, what art is a good investment?
Like I emphasize, don't buy art because of monetary investment. Buy art because it's a lifestyle investment. Really buy what you like. Something that, let's put it this way, even if one day the value goes down or it's not that more valuable or you can't sell it, at least you have a piece of art that you like hanging on your wall. Right? So it is a lifestyle investment. Art is such a wide term, right? There are so many types, so many genre, right? That each type of art has its own following, right? So you can't really say which type is a better investment. Of course, traditionally, work on canvas, whether it's oil on canvas, acrylic on canvas, they are easier to maintain, easier to keep. Work on paper is generally more delicate, right? Watercolor on paper or also artist print are more delicate and therefore need more care than black. Right? So you have to bear that in mind. Again, if you really want to look at it as an investment, the way to start is look at our local auction market result, right? And be prepared to keep art for medium long term, right? There are just like shares, I guess. There are so-called, I call them blue chip artists, artists that you know as value has been very consistent, but generally then the entry level is high. Right? In Malaysia, blue chip artist work is in the six figures. You can buy established artist work. Established artist work typically in the 5-digit range. But if you, like me, I love looking at emerging artists, young artists work, because I can have more fun with the money that I use in collecting the art. Right? Imagine if you buy a piece of artwork at six figures, right, 100,000, as opposed to spending 2,000-3,000 on a young artist's work. I can buy 30, 40 pieces instead of one piece. Right? But then, of course, emerging artists, this system we use for young, promising artists, there is a certain risk that you have to take as to whether they are passionate enough to go the long haul, whether it's going to be their long-term career. I would also then, of course, encourage you to buy from work of full-time artists instead of part-time artists. In Malaysia, we have lots and lots of people who dabble in art. Some of the part-time artists are actually quite good, but I think as an investment, as a long-term investment, buy from full-time artists.
Those are definitely good tips indeed. And I love the parallels. Blue chip artists. You kind of talk about growth growth artists, penny art. Yeah, and even like knowing your circle of competency, or your circle of what you love and you enjoy as well.
Let me give you an example. A piece of work from what I call a good artist, right? From 1980. You were able to get them at 1,000 ringgit. 40 years later, year 2020, you can that same piece of work is now worth 40,000 or more. 40 times in 40 years, I calculated that's a good compound interest of 10% a year. So in that sense, art can be a good investment. I think it first must be a lifestyle investment, an aesthetic investment. Then you may get that monetary returns in due course.
It's a very good point about that as well.
So we have another question from Susan. Can you share with us a little about the piece acting as your backdrop right now?
All right. This is an oil on canvas by one of my favorite artists called James Pham. James Pham is from Penang. James Pham is in his 70s. He's spent 50 over years in London. He's based in London. He's got the fame to be the first Asian to be given an award by the Royal Watercolour Society in almost 200 years. That was in the 90s when we got that award. And also, it is a piece of artwork, Chinese ink on rice paper. But this is all. He's equally good in his Chinese ink painting as his art. So this is called Morning Dewy Mountain, a work I think from his done in the 90s. So it's hanging in the conference room of my office. One of my favorite.
Oh, I wish we can chat for more longer, but unfortunately, it comes to the end to our show. So, if there is one thing that you want out, if there's one big audacious habit or goal that you want our audience to take action right now, what would that be?
Go to an art gallery if never been to one. Let me do a promotion for CIMB Bank. Right? CIMB Bank has come out with something called Arttober. This is their first installment, and it is in the Klang Valley. As I know, I think there are 9 art galleries that are participating in that. So this is October month. Go search on the internet, CIMB October 2020. You'll see the gallery listed there. Go visit all 9 of them if you can in this month, and buy your first piece of art, Steve.
All right. Add that to my list of things to watch out for, definitely.
All right. Thank you so much, Khai. Really, really appreciate what you have done for us today and all the prep work and detailed presentation slides that made up to our full art course, actually, for someone that don't know much like myself and others.
That definitely piques interest, and I really think that it's really clear how it starts with your enjoyment. I think the value that you get from enjoying that piece of artwork, I think it counts for something, even though it's maybe difficult to put a monetary value to it, and yet it at the same time it generates you 10% plus returns a year. I think you get the best of both worlds with that, truly, indeed. All right, thank you so much, Khai.
Yeah, thank you,
Thanks for
Guy. All right, thank you, podcasts, for listening. I think that's probably the most comprehensive 1 hour introductory of art. Kai has done all his best of sharing his own personal experience, and he has given tips for someone who has not bought any art, haven't started investing in art, and also someone who has started, and also someone what happens after you purchase arts, including things like where to actually keep track of all your art collection records and all those things. I think I can't thank Kai enough for this session. So, right. So thanks everyone for watching. As usual, you can find the show notes and link on our website, mypf.my/podcat. And don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you next week in the next episode. Hasta pronto.